This episode of the Lunch with Chris show is brought to you by my upcoming book, 30 Days to Limitless. You can find out more about it at limitless30.com.
This podcast is certified fresh. Freshmediaworks.com.
Welcome to the Lunch with Chris show, where your host, Chris Daly, talks with movers and shakers from all walks of life to get their opinions on important questions. Each season, there is a new question and new guests. This short, impactful show skips all the fluff and just brings you insightful answers from great guests. And now, doing his part to change the world in a positive way, your host, Chris Daly.
My guest today is an amazing young lady who has done a lot in a very short time. She has created a really cool nonprofit. Yes, my guest is Jodi Yancey Sandoval. All right, everybody, join me in welcoming Jodi Yancey Sandoval to the show. Jodi, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing wonderful, and I'm so excited to talk to you and share some of your story, because to me it's a fascinating story.
Oh, well, thank you.
So let's back up. Let's start with where you grew up and kind of some of your early influences.
Sure. So I grew up in a small rural town called Victoria, Texas. Pretty much brought up by my mom, single mom, actually not even from the United States. She comes from Sydney, Australia, but by the time she was 17, she was already in Texas.
Yeah, the saying is, I wasn't born here, but I got here as fast as I could.
I guess so.
So talk to me about your early, career, your business life after graduating high school. Where'd you go on to?
Yeah, so I guess the most fascinating part of the story is I didn't finish high school. I was one of those kids that was in a hurry to hurry up and get out of school. So didn't really take school seriously, never really felt like it was a place where I was growing and learning or even seen here in this small rural county. But I became a mom really young. I had my first son when I was 18, and my mom made it very clear that I needed to finish my school. So she actually dropped me off, and I took the GED test in 1993 and passed that, and started a very long journey into Victoria College, where it took me a lot of years. But last week I actually walked the stage with my associate's degree.
Wow, that is so awesome. That's cool. So I guess in that interim, you've done a lot. So let's kind of go stop by stop what you did.
Yeah. Well, I just really embedded myself in my community. I started out just, hanging out and trying to see what God wanted me to do and what I was good at. And immediately I was drawn to teenagers. That's probably been about 15 years ago with youth ministry in our church. And I just kind of gravitated towards young people and really identified with some of the things that they were going through. And I just wanted to be to young people what I wish I had when I was, in junior high and high school.
Nice. And so how long did you do youth ministry? Or I assume you're still doing it.
Yeah, I think once you do youth ministry, it's kind of hard to get away from it. Not that I want to, but you kind of get really passionate about the work and want to keep doing it. Or at least for me, that's what happened. But I started at my first church. I would probably say about 10 years ago, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's just really been a part of my life for a long time. And Gosh, I wish I could remember the dates. I don't. It seems like yesterday, but I look at some of my kids that, were in my youth group, and they are now, going off to college, and some of them already in college. So it's been a while. And now I currently serve still in my church, leading youth, are a part of the team here at our youth ministry. And, I have Teens Grounded. So I'm basically with young people all day, including my twins that are going to be 13 in July.
Nice. And if you could talk about some of the stories, the impacts that you've seen in dealing with kids and how it's changed their lives.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of times, just like us as adults, we want somebody that, when we talk to somebody, that we feel like they really kind of understand what we're going through, that they really empathize. And I think it's the same for young people. Like, I don't come from a place of telling them what they should and shouldn't do. I really start at a place of, you were created, with a plan and a purpose in mind, and really speaking into their identity and their self-worth, because that's something that I often wonder if that would have happened in my life, if maybe I wouldn't have taken the long way around. I know that sometimes when kids seem withdrawn or angry or aggravated, a lot of times adults can use words that cause more damage, such as what's wrong with you instead of what happened to you. So I really come from a place of really wanting to know them and be a part of their life.
Excellent. And there's a debate in society these days, at least with older people, that, kids are lazy, kids are not what they used to be, but they have different options than we do. So tell me what you see as a difference of kids today versus when you grew up.
Wow. I mean, I guess I could join the bandwagon and just kind of say that, kids spend more time inside and on their phones and things like that. But, I think that that's really a byproduct of how we raised our kids, or how we were raised. I think it started with good intention, like how do we keep our kids safe? Because I think with social media, we saw more that was happening in the world, and we were really trying to create a safe space for our kids. And in doing that, they began to spend more time at home and on their computers, and parents felt like they were nice and safe there. So I would say it's really kind of our fault as parents. And it is different than when I grew up, because I was never inside. I didn't have access to, TV. If you watch cartoons, it was Saturday morning, early morning. Now kids can get on the internet at any time and watch whatever they want. There's no patience. They don't have to wait. They don't have to rewind a tape or even a CD. They just go to the songs that they want. So I do think it's a byproduct of maybe us wanting to keep our kids safer. But what I am seeing is a longing for authentic relationships. Right. I think that young people are watching us more than we think that they are. And we're saying one thing and we're doing something else. And so what looks like laziness, sometimes it's really kids just trying to figure out who they are and where they belong.
Right on. And you mentioned Teens Grounded. I didn't, didn't dig into that right then, but I do want to. That, to me, that's the most important thing we're talking about here today. Explain what Teens Grounded is.
Yeah, so I could talk all day about Teens Grounded. It's really something that I know has been, set right in front of me by God. And I can tell you that in 2017, I was still leading the youth, and unfortunately, I got a call, and the person on the other end asked me, "Hey, Jodi, are you sitting down?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm driving. Why?" And they said, "Well, 2 girls just jumped off of a parking garage." And, I pray two things every day. Number one is that God lets me see people the way he does, and that he breaks my heart for what breaks his. And immediately when I heard that story, I was just so broken. I heard God say, now that breaks my heart, for a young person to feel so hopeless that they felt like that was the only way. And I want to be really sensitive because we do live in a small town, so I don't really want to talk about that particular thing. I just want to say that in 2017, we had a lot of young people just battling with, why am I here? And who loves me and who would miss me, and just a lot of negative thoughts. And watching two young people lose their battle with depression was very saddening to me. And so we began to think about how we can really pour into the young people, and we developed a event called Hope Fest, and that's initially how Teens Grounded started. We never started with the intention to have a youth leadership program. We just wanted to create something for young people where they felt seen, heard, valued, and important to us. And that's really basically how Teens Grounded started.
Nice. And I'll get into Hope Fest. But what I've seen, I deal with a lot of parents, high school football coaches, and just adults in the community. And what I've seen is that a kid is successful when he or she believes he is important, and that people value them. And that's what I see from what you're doing, is that everything you do points to your belief in that kid and that ability, their ability to become and do whatever they want to do.
Exactly. We want every member in our youth leadership program to feel important, and we also want them to know that they're an important part of their community, and that they are seen and valued. And that's why we believe that young people value themselves and serve others in their community. And when they do that, real leaders emerge. And so our program actually focuses on 5 keys of leadership. And the first one is self-worth. Another servanthood, community service, advocacy, and discipleship. And so everything that we do within our program really falls into one of those categories, being self-worth being probably the most important, because once they do value themselves, once they see themselves as an intricate part to our community, to their families, to the world, then they want to serve. They want to be a part of their community. They want to advocate for the things that they believe in, and then they want to lead their friends into some of the same things that they're doing. So it really just kind of falls in line with, once we can get that self-worth embedded in them, everything else kind of freely flows.
Right. And talk about Teens Grounded. How is that this region specific, or do you have outreach other areas?
Right now we're strictly in Victoria County. We are a youth leadership program, but the cool thing about our program is we do have mentors within our program. So we work at a 1-to-7 ratio, and what I mean by that is we try to have one mentor for every 7 students. And that's important to us because we know that within that small group, you can really hear them, see them, listen to them, and they can begin to develop relationships with one another. And it just creates a bond that makes them want to show up every first and third Sunday.
Nice. Well, you mentioned first and third Sunday. What are the responsibilities and duties for a mentor?
Yeah, so we really ask that mentors are committed to the first and third Sunday of each month. We meet for 2 hours. And then we also have, workshops and activities sometimes throughout the month. Those aren't required, but we encourage our mentors to come out as much as possible. They are volunteers. A lot of them are parents, and most of them work within our school system. So, we try to get them out as much as we can, but the first and third Sunday is pretty much mandatory.
Nice. And is there a term? I mean, how long can they expect?
So we keep our students from 6th to 12th grade, and they can join at any time. We don't ever kick them out until they graduate. And I think it's the same with our mentors. They come on board and they stay. You know, there is no term. We ask that they can at least serve 2 years, because we're looking at authentic relationships, and sometimes that takes time, especially when trust has been broken with some of our young people before. We ask that they serve at least 2 years. Nice.
And don't take this as an official volunteer, but let's say there's a guy, you know, maybe his name's Chris, and and he's interested in doing this, but he knows, like, during football season he is booked,
right?
But he's free in the summer and free. Does something like that work?
Yeah, well, you know, we still have different ways. Like, we have a couple of people that are considered just helpers. You know, they show up, they help clean up after dinner, they help with activities, they may be available for our summer field trip. I mean, there's lots of ways for people to help out and volunteer. So don't let the time, if you don't have the time to be a mentor, don't let that stop you from coming in and being a part of something great that's happening in our community. And also, we want the ideas from people on the outside. Like, hey, I was there, I saw this, what do you think about doing this? You know, this is the vision came from God, but there are people in the community that have so much to give, and so we never turn a volunteer down.
Right. And how about somebody who maybe, you know, our audience is worldwide, nationwide, that's thinking, gosh, that would be a good thing in my area. How can they start something like this, or maybe reach out to you and get some advice?
You know, I would love to do some consulting wherever, because I am convinced that programs like this work. And so I'm available, you know, reach out. I don't know what you're going to share on the show as far as contact information, but whatever contact information you share, I have, you know, my cell phone number, my email, reach out, and I don't mind visiting and consulting on how I got started and how I'll be able to help however I can.
Sweet. Well, I will put whatever you're willing to put out there in the show notes and here, you know, if you want to, you know, say any ways to reach you.
Yeah, so just reach out to me at teensgrounded@gmail.com. That's probably the best way to contact me, is by email.
Excellent. Now, I want to talk about Hope Fest. Explain what that is, because that, like you said, that's the genesis of the whole thing.
Right. So, man, Teens Grounded, that's still that's my heart. Teens Grounded is a day where we come together and we just focus on our young people and their families. I think a lot of times when we involve young people in what we do, we invite them into our world, but this is actually an opportunity for adults to go into their world. We have volleyball tournaments, 7-on-7 football tournaments. We have live music. We have inflatables. We have water slides. It's just really a day that we dedicate to our young people by saying, here, this is just for you. We see you, we love you, and you're valuable to our community.
Nice. And how do people participate?
Yeah, so the best way to get involved is to go to our website, and it's teensgrounded.com, and there's a tab, you can click on it, that says Hope Fest. Underneath that, there's tons of ways to get involved. You can register for the volleyball tournament, the football tournament, and then there's a really nifty one that says volunteer, click here. And we always need volunteers to come out and help. There's different ways you can help. We have a drink station. We have an information station. You can hang out at the inflatables and just kind of monitor what's going on there. And we also really, really need somebody to run our volleyball tournament this year. So we are asking that if there's anybody who loves volleyball and has the time to do it, we would love to get some help in somebody leading that for us.
Nice. And tell me the location and the hours for the event.
So it's going to be at Riverside Park, and it's in the special events area right next to the Generals baseball park.
Right. And what are the times?
It's going to be on June the 17th from 10 a.m. till about 8 p.m. at night. So it is a full-day event.
Awesome. Cool. Well, gosh, Jodi, I want to thank you so much for sharing some information about Hope Fest, sharing some information about Teens Grounded. You are truly an everyday hero.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.